stuff?
We're ready, sir.
Okay, we'll just start it with that. Okay. Good evening. Regular session, Mayor and City Council meeting, 6 p.m. Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019, City Hall Complex. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for invocation. Madam Clerk, would you please?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Reverend, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you, Mayor, for the invitation. Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in this city the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 4, call to the public. Mr. Kissinger, you submitted a form.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Can I make my call to public from here, or would you like me to go to the
No, you
podium?
can do it right there. You have a speaker.
Thank
and
you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, the Women's National Mexican Softball Tournament was held September 27th through December 29th, and it was held in Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. 6 teams from all over Mexico participated in this tournament. Our receptionist, the girl that waves to you and says hi to you and answers the phone for us, Dominic Morales, she played for the Sonora team. They played 6 games, and they were the champions of the national tournament. And they won 1-0 against Nuevo Leon. DK, as she's called by us that work here at the city, was a starting pitcher for 3 of those games, to include the championship game. I would like to ask Mayor and Council that tomorrow and the next days, as you come to work and you see DK standing, sitting behind the desk and she greets you, please congratulate her for her tremendous effort and representing the city of Nogales in women's softball. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, and I wasn't aware of that.
Thank you. Congratulate her already.
You knew about it?
Yes.
You didn't tell us?
No, Mr. Kissinger told me. I thought he had told you that.
Okay, speaker forum, first person, Scott Rendable. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Scott Vandervoot, 1434 East Bristol Drive, Nogales. I got up here before you last month to discuss the same thing because it's still of concern to me, and it's a concern to many of my friends and soccer playing colleagues who have taken the time out of their evenings to be here tonight. For many of them, it's the first time they've come to a city council meeting, and it may be the first time they speak in front of the council. We've drafted up some plans of ways that the Turley Field project, which this fiscal budget has dedicated $170,000 to, can be redesigned. You can go in and make some adjustments, it's not too late, to accommodate a full-size soccer field of 300 feet or 100 yards, which is apt per FIFA regulations. That's the global soccer governing body. I will pass these around. I would hope that the city would take into consideration some of these adjustments, because we still have the opportunity to accommodate a full-size field. The importance of that location is the fact that we've used it as a full-size field for many years. It has lights, and it's considered by the soccer playing community, even though I know it is a multi-purpose field, as the city's soccer field. And I think the city has envisioned it that way also. You can make some minor adjustments there. There are a few lines identifying some cement that could be removed and replaced to continue to have a cement barrier around the edge. Keep in mind, a soccer field would have to be within any cement barrier. The cement could not be the edge, because when you're running on cleats and you step on cement, you can slip and fall, so you need a buffer. So we've identified where the field could fit. There is ample space. It made the area outside of the cement to the east towards the rock wall would perhaps incur a bit on the service road. You have other service access points within that park.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, Brian Hernandez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Hernandez, 1350 North Mariposa Road, and I represent both leagues, the adult and the youth. I've been in as a regional commissioner for 2 years now, and it's always been my concern to have the proper fields for my kids and for my adults to play, teenagers as well. I would like to quickly share a little bit of our history and state our concerns. Both organizations were established here in Nogales in the 80s, and since then have provided the community the opportunity to learn and practice this amazing sport. The soccer community has been expanding rapidly, averaging around 700 registered participants in the past few years. With that said, over these past few years we have been requesting improvements to the Ron Turley field, since that is the main facility for our organizations. This is also the only city-provided field with lights, which can be used during practices and game schedule on the evenings. We have also requested more access to the field. It is closed for about 5 consecutive months every year for maintenance. Honestly, the type of maintenance that we see done it every year does not reflect 5 months worth of work. With soccer being a year-round sport, you can see how much this affects us. When we first heard about this new improvement project, we felt relieved and felt that our petitions had been finally heard. We were hoping for big improvements, as we always requested, that will give us a decent soccer field in Nogales. Turns out that with the walking pad being added, our playing field will no longer have the adequate measurements to play. Right now, I took the time to take the length of that field. FIFA, the minimum required length is 300 feet. Right now, we're at 240 of playing field. So it's too short, not even close to the minimum. To finalize, I would like to know more details of the project. Who designed the project? What encouraged this renovation? And another concern is, when field is rented by my organization, will the walking path be open to the public? Someone can get hurt with the soccer ball or anything when we're active on using the fields.
Okay, thank you very much. Second is Ernesto Silva or Silva.
First of all, I just want to know if I can speak in Spanish. My English is not too good.
Adelante.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Ernesto Silva. Yo vivo aquí en 850 calle Esplendor, aquí en Rancho Grande. La primera cuestión que traigo yo aquí para yo no vengo a tirarle tierra a nadie, no vengo a exigirle nada a nadie. Lo único que yo quiero es que consideren ustedes, el concilio y nosotros como personas, promotoras de fútbol y del deporte en general, que no nos quiten el derecho, que no nos quiten el derecho de nosotros como personas mayores y como promotores para los jóvenes. Seguramente alguno de sus hijos ha jugado en los equipos que nosotros como dirigentes deportivos hemos tenido. Seguramente les puedo garantizar que 50, 100, porque tenemos 30, yo tengo 30 años como ayudando a promover el deporte, y mucha gente. A mí me encuentran muchachos de 35, 40 y dicen, hey, coach para acá, coach para allá, coach. Pues es algo muy bonito. Yo no quiero que le quiten a esos muchachos la oportunidad de seguir practicando este deporte. Si nosotros nos quitan ese campo, es el único que tenemos para practicar el deporte. Los otros pues los usamos también, los tenemos que rentar, y no nos hace daño rentarlos porque podemos. La mayoría somos adultos y trabajamos. Lo que sí quiero pedirles por favor es que consideren mucho reacondicionar el campo que nosotros tenemos ahí en el Ron Truly, para que nuestros muchachos y nosotros mismos como personas adultas, como personas mayores, practiquemos este deporte. Yo sé que se lo van a agradecer porque ¿En qué otra parte? Si nos quitan ese campo, ¿a dónde vamos a ir a jugar nosotros? Y deje tú nosotros, los muchachos, porque los muchachos de 12 años ya tienen que practicar el deporte en un campo reglamentario. Y ese campo, como está ahorita, no nos va a dar las medidas que necesitan para jugar. Es todo. Quiero que por favor reconsideren la petición que atentamente le estamos haciendo el grupo nuestro del fútbol soccer aquí en Nogales. Muchas gracias, señores.
Gracias. Next speaker, Raúl López.
Raul Lopez, 1024 May Court. Just a little bit more of the same. I volunteer for AYSO. I coach kids for 12 years and up and down. I have kids who are 10 and 11 years old. Next year, most of them will take a step to go to U14. At U14, they will have to use a regular size field. We don't have a regular size field other than depending from the school district, not having the city doesn't have anything that will help these kids continue playing other than playing for the school district or us going rent from the school district. I would like, if possible, if the project can be stopped at this point, like Scott mentioned it before, we're still on time to actually stop the process, adjust a few things, and as he showed you in his graph, and just it is possible, and it is not for us as adults, we're on our way out, but for my kid who's 5-year-old, who's 10 years old, who will play many years to come. And like you mentioned, most of us have kids, grandchildren who's playing the sport, and I would prefer my kid to be playing a sport rather than sitting at home playing with a Nintendo, doing rocks, doing something else. And to me, having a soccer field will help our youth in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Gamaliel Lopez.
Good evening. My name is Gamaliel Lopez, 1272 Calle Pico Gordo in Rio Rico, and pretty much the same like you mentioned. You know, we're just gonna talk about what everybody else said. I've been coaching AYSO for 15 years or so. Been a volunteer reffing for AYSO, and I hate to see what's happening. When you guys built Hohokam, we thought it was going to be a full-size field. Didn't happen. And then Challenger Field, same thing. Now you're shortening the regular field that we have. So where are we going to play at? Or where are my kids going to play at? Does anybody have an answer for that? Or
We cannot answer and call to the public to know about it.
no? But so if we have no Fletcher anymore, are you guys gonna add lights for Pearson? I mean, so is soccer is gonna end or what? It's just a bunch of questions. Like right now, the project it's about 5%, right? So you guys can make some adjustments so we can have a regular size field, so we can practice, you know, so we all can play. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is El Piedra López.
Buenas noches a todos, mi nombre es El Pío López. Un poco nervioso, nunca había estado frente a todos ustedes. Gusto conocerlos. Los he escuchado, la mayoría de ustedes en el radio. Los respeto, están haciendo su trabajo. Nomás quiero, para no hablar de lo mismo, agradecerles que nos dejen hablar y ojalá nos dieran la oportunidad de seguir usando ese campo. Ojalá pudieran hacer un poquito más grande para que mis hijos y los hijos de ellos, los hijos de ustedes, sus nietos tengan oportunidad de donde ir a hacer deporte, porque es el único lugar público de la ciudad que tenemos. Lo demás son escuelas y algunas veces nos cambian para un lugar, nos cambian para otro y en realidad pues es el único lugar donde podemos practicar este deporte que nos gusta mucho, ¿no? Yo a Mr. Barona lo conozco desde la escuela, yo ahí jugué, desde entonces no he parado de jugar desde 1994, gracias a Dios tengo mis piernas buenas y ojalá nos dejen jugar ahí por mucho tiempo. Gracias, buenas noches.
Señor López, para el récord, ¿lo puede dar tu domicilio?
Ok, José 28 Río Pico
Pico Gordo, Rio Rico. Gracias.
Next speaker is Armando Hernandez.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Armando Hernández, vivo en la 2156 de la calle Carbó, aquí en Monte Carlo. Yo tengo actividad en el soccer por muchos años, fui voluntario del EYSO y sigo siéndolo desde 1981 que se fundó esta liga que inicialmente se llamó Unicorn Soccer League, que la trajo para acá el señor Ron Turley, en paz descanse. Y pues somos amantes del soccer, ¿no? Y lo único que yo les pido a ustedes, como un participante más de esta liga, que reconsideren las dimensiones del campo de ahí del Run Turley, del Fletcher, para que pues, los jóvenes que tienen que jugar en dimensiones reglamentarias lo puedan hacer. Inclusive nosotros como personas ya de la tercera edad, pues también debemos de tener esa oportunidad de participar. Y sobre todo, pues si esa pista la van a hacer ahí en el Fletcher, si deciden hacerla ahí, pues va a perjudicar tanto para los jugadores como para los corredores que van a andar por allí, porque va a ser un peligro, ¿no? Entonces yo les pediría nada más eso, que se reconsiderara esa situación de lo que se está haciendo ahorita, y pues les doy las gracias por la atención prestada. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Nomás para su información, yo sé que no han estado aquí ustedes en la sesión de Cabildo nunca. Cuando habla uno en Call to the Public, en lo que están haciendo ustedes, no podemos contestarles, ni uno de nosotros. ¿Ok? Así es como trabaja. Para que les podamos contestar, nosotros tenemos que tener agendado lo del Ron Turley. Y entonces en ese momento podemos contestar y podemos discutir y tener diálogo. ¿Ok? Nomás para que sepan. No es que no queremos contestarles. Así es como trabaja el protocolo del Cabildo. ¿Ok? Lo que nomás les voy a decir, a ver si lo pongo y lo agendo en un study session o algo, para poder discutir y hablar de esto nosotros con ustedes. Y es todo lo que les puedo decir. ¿Está bueno? Sino que eso espero hacerlo y a ver qué podemos hacer. Tenemos que trabajar juntos todos. ¿Okay? Sino que tenemos que buscar una manera como solucionar y yo sé que mencionaron el Jojocam, ¿no? El Jojocam no se pudo rebajar más el cerro, se tiene que hacer otras cosas, pero algún día sí va a estar más amplio, ¿no? Los demás, y el señor Barona, nomás para que sepan, él les ha ayudado mucho, y el señor Rojas con las escuelas les permiten que usen los parques de ellos también. Esos son del tamaño que necesitan ustedes. No tendrán alumbrado, pero sí tienen. Y yo hablé con el señor Armando Bob, pero yo creo que él no les dijo a ustedes nada. Les dije a él que les podíamos ayudar con luces temporales para que pudieran practicar, sea luces con generadores en la Pearson, sino que hay cosas que podemos hacer. ¿Está bueno? Más para que sepan. Y entonces después de que terminemos con esta sesión, al final hay un punto donde se puede pedir algo que se agende. A ese momento voy a pedir yo que se agende algo para que discutamos esto en el futuro. ¿Está bueno? Okay, muchas gracias a ustedes. Pero no es que no queremos hablar con ustedes. Okay. Okay, number 5. Is there anybody else in call to the public? No? Okay. Number 5, communications general. Update regarding the request of Santa Cruz County for the donation of 20 acres of city-owned properties. Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. With the help of the water director, I have communicated with the Arizona Department of Water Resources, and they have about a 1,600-page file on this property. And it has a lot of information in there that my office doesn't have. And thankfully they have it available online. What most importance in this case is that the surface water rights that were once associated with the fields because of the historic use, obviously, of that property as an agricultural resource in the area. In 1997, those surface water rights were fully severed from the land and transferred to municipal use for the city of Nogales and the service area. So I think there was concern, and certainly a concern of mine at the last time that we discussed this a couple of months ago, about the status of the water rights. Were they still associated with the land? And the answer is they're not. So I think that is a green light, that if council wanted to continue to move this along, that's not a problem. The other thing is that in discussing with the county, they, a diagram was presented a couple months ago when it was first agendaed, of an area approximately about 20 acres that county was seeking to obtain from the city to expand Calabasas Park. They're now taking a look at it, that there's a sort of a natural division of the land, and if they went a little bit further to the south, it seemed like a cohesive area could be transferred consistent with the geography, but that would be about 30 acres instead of 20 acres. But my response is that the county should prepare the legal description. They obviously have a surveyor, Leonard Fontes, on staff now. He can very competently prepare a legal description, and when they have that legal description, we'll bring the deed with the legal description back to City Council for their consideration, for your all consideration. I have drafted a draft deed. I sent it over to the county attorney's office for their review. The deed does reserve to the city, whether it's going to be 20 acres or 30 acres, an easement for a potential future well site. And it has nothing really to do with the surface water. It has to do with a potential project in the future where we would seek to get recharge credits for the effluent that the city has always been depositing in the Santa Cruz River. It's just that the well from which we recover the water has to be deemed the same area, the same aquifer, basically, as where the effluent is going into the river. And so the closer to the wastewater treatment plant, the more likely we could locate such a well site in this property without having to obtain another well site off that property. So that's being submitted to the county for their consideration, that we would keep as of now an undefined 1 acre easement for a potential future well. And I'm also including in the deed the relevant administrative decision from ADWR that reflects that there is no surface water associated with the land anymore. And so it's very clear from the recorded information that no surface water rights are being transferred along with the land. So that's where we are. We need to hear back from the county as to the legal description, and if they have any concerns or comments about a floating 1 acre easement. How I sort of contemplate that is, I understand that the county is not in a position to immediately develop this land, but as they develop it, such as if they want to locate a particular soccer field or any other facility in this area, then the city would sign a document that we agree that our 1 acre well site would not be in that particular location, and so on and so forth until they develop the whole property, at which point we should know whether we are going to have a well or need the well site there, or we could just waive it entirely. So any questions?
Go ahead, I think my concern was the surface water, to make sure we don't leave it. You've answered that question. My other concern is, do you have something in there to make sure, like, there a new different board of supervisors comes in and they want to do something else with the property? That is there something in there that that says we have a say as to what they're gonna do there?
Yes, I did not include at this point a covenant. I think that we're still at the very early stage. We could include something like that, that this is solely for the purpose of recreation
Right.
facility
Yes.
in perpetuity, that basically it's some sort of a non-development type easement solely for development as a recreation resource.
Okay, and Mr. Massey, it does help me, your explanations are very in-depth, and they're really well presented, but it helps me if you would give us something in writing prior to the meeting,
Yes.
so I can follow you, what you're saying and everything, because when you get into different things of water, 1 acre below, and all of that, it's hard to, if you could just help us all to study it. Mayor,
Yes.
can I ask Supervisor Bracker a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Supervisor Bracker? Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Supervisor Bracker, do you have the water to take care of the fields, whether it's 20 acres or 30 acres? Will you be able to provide the water for those fields?
We're working on whether or not water can cross the boundary onto the fields.
Okay, so if they can't, in case you can't provide the water, what happens to this agreement if we've already signed it and everything?
If we've already signed it, then I would say the situation where they're not able to have water, that wouldn't affect the conveyance if the conveyance has already occurred. So in order to maybe have the situation where we can maintain review of that, we should probably then talk about just a transfer agreement and maybe have the document attached to the agreement, and at which point county can say that it's realistic to develop it. We could go through with the closing. So we could come up with something like that. I'm sure the county can look for other options as well for the provision of water in that area.
I'm Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Supervisor Bracker, whether it's 20 acres or 30 acres, now that we've had legal clarification on the surface water, because I'm not willing to lose that water for the city of Nogales. I'm in favor of each one. I just want to make sure that you're going to have water there so it can be something that's going to be worthwhile for the community. But I would support whichever one, the contour of the land, whether it's 20 or 30 acres, but I'm all very supportive of this.
Go ahead,
Mr. Mayor, just a question here for Supervisor Bracker. Also, if you heard the gentlemen here that were here for the soccer, majority of them might have been from Rio Rico, I believe.
Yes.
Is there a deal here where you would go ahead and put in a full-size soccer field, or is that something that you have considered, or is not considered, or is just baseball fields there, or what was the consideration?
No, we're considered, Councilman Nestian, what we're doing is we're considering building a large field complex. We're not necessarily sure what we're going to do in there, but there's definitely a need in that area for soccer fields, for youth football fields, there's many different uses, and even just for kids to go fly kites. We need fields, we need places for kids to be able to gather and play. And we feel that this would be a huge amenity to the Calabasas Park, which is a tremendous facility. It just doesn't get the visitations that we'd like to see.
It doesn't. But you heard what they said here. Were you here when they were speaking?
Yes, sir.
Well, maybe hopefully that, and I don't know if it's a point of us putting anything in there, that they have to put in a full-size soccer field, because again, it would be a big plus, as you can see there. Maybe that would relieve the deal here in Nogales, even though there's 2 other full-size fields in Nogales, but that would relieve the point of them having to discuss this field here.
Yes, soccer is definitely in the is one of the considerations. But we've been approached also by little, youth football. We've been approached by people who just want large grassy areas to take their families to recreate. So I think this would be a huge plus for our community. We just need to figure out how we're going to get water to it. If we own the fields, if there's a regulation that says we can't bring it from our park to expand into this new facility.
when they, Mr. Messi, when they go ahead and get the water, does that affect us any? Because they're gonna get the water, they're gonna have to put in a well.
We have a
No, they have
Oh,
one.
you have a well?
Yeah,
Yes.
Calabasas.
How big a well is it? Is it big enough to handle something like that, or?
or I'm a haberdasher. I would have to have engineers. I would have to have engineers
Maybe in
look
the
at that.
suit you had something in there, but, all right, thank you.
Yeah, another thing, well, a while back, the county came to see if we could maintain their parks. How are you gonna maintain that one? They wanted the city to maintain your parks at,
Well, we're
Damon.
still hoping that we can move forward with the agreement to work on Damon Park and also on Ron Morris Park, the two ball fields, and start working together with the
Have you
city.
hired people to do that, or?
I can't, I'm not sure. I know that we're maintaining the parks right now. I know that our maintenance department has recently spent some time out in Ron Morris Park, fixing the watering system. So we're making, the
Yeah,
Damon
'cause
fields
it's-
are really nice and they're very playable.
It's hard enough for us to maintain our own parks here. We don't have that many. The majority of them are at the school district, but, hey, another thing, since you're here on the podium, Manny, when he came here to talk about this, he said he had 2 parcels in Monte Carlo that he's willing to give to the city.
Oh, that would be stuff that's happening in District 1. I can't comment on that.
Well, go back to him and tell him about that. Tell him I said that. I reminded him. There's 2 parks in Monte Carlo. One is a park and one is just a little sliver of land on Trinidad that's just going to waste. Yes, we do, Nubar.
I'm sure all options are on the table.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Mayor.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much for the
Supervisor
opportunity.
Becker. Thank you. All right, so is this the end of discussion?
Yes.
Yes? Are we okay now?
We're good.
You feel good?
This we're okay, yeah.
Yes. From this.
Anything else you want to?
Okay, number 2, presentation on EBT Trust Fund, Mr. Bachelier. So Mr. Bachelier, we got 2 Mr. Bacheliers? Oh, dear. Right. No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Mayor and members of the council, as a member of the EBT Trust and on behalf of the EBT Trust, we wanted to just take an opportunity again at the end of this previous fiscal year just to bring the council up to date as to how the fund is at this point in time. We did this last year. It was very well received. We're bringing it back to the council just so they can kind of have a better understanding of how our trust fund is operating. So I'm going to bring one of our consultants up. One of our brokers is from CBiz. We have both of them here, Jennifer Aragon, and we also have Oscar Diaz, and he will be kind of walking you through the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Bachelier. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, appreciate this opportunity. Before we go through the slides, what I'm going to do is just explain to you what we're going to actually discuss today. So we're going to do a year-over-year comparison. We're going to show the plan performance on a budget basis versus an actuarial basis. We provide the trust with some actuarial analysis. We're going to look at the per employee per month performance, show you how that's actually performing over the last 4 years. It's good news. It's going down. We're going to talk a little bit about the cost splits between your retirees and between your active employees and COBRA participants, some of the reasons that we're seeing for the decreases. We'll talk a little bit about the International Medical Services Program we put in place. It's actually working really well. We want to remind you a little bit about that, and we'll show you how there's been some cost avoidance from that program to benefit the trust, and then we'll talk a little bit about the wellness plan and that performance. Okay? So when we take a look at 2017-28 plan year, there were contributions of $3.4 million into the program. The claims and the fixed costs, which are administrative costs and reinsurance costs, were $3.2 million. We had stop-loss recoveries. Stop-loss recoveries are reinsurance that's purchased on behalf of the trust to cover against excess losses. So that means we got money back from the reinsurance carrier of $15,000. So we wound up with a net surplus of 193 and the net funds held of $2.4 million. As we move into 2018-19, the second line there should have a minus symbol. My apologies there. We had contributions of $2.9 million. Claims came in at $3.2 million. We had stop loss recoveries of $59,000. We had a deficit of $362,000, but we wound up at net funds held of $2.06 million. The thing I want to highlight for you is based on the analysis that we do for you folks from an actuary standpoint, your net funds held position is still very good. Your reserves are very good. Over time, the trust has done a good job of building those reserves up. So we always monitor that for you from two basis points. We look at the beginning when we go through the renewal process, and then we go after the renewal if there's any migration or shifts between employees from one plan to the other. So we always do a true-up to make sure that the calculations we have for you folks are correct. If there's ever a situation where we see a high increase in claims cost, we can do a timeout and we can go back and do another actuarial analysis just to make sure that the plan performance and the net funds are still adequate. So that's one of the services we provide the trust. If you go to the next slide, when you take a look here, in 2016 we actually ran at about 105% over the city of Nogales' budgeted amount. In 18-19 we ran at about 83%. When we take a look at your medical loss ratio, which means that there's an expected claim factor that goes into that, and we measure against that on a monthly basis and on an annual basis. In 2016-17, you ran at 97% of that actuarial number. In 18-19, you ran at 84.1%. And then for 2019-2020, we've adjusted that by 8%. Okay, so we felt from an actuarial standpoint, based on, even though you were performing well, that it was important for us to adjust that slightly up. Okay. On the next slide here, we wanted to provide you with a claims analysis. Now, what we do is we look at per employee per month. That's the way we calculate how your plan performance is. That takes into account any fluctuations in covered lives. If we take a look at 15-16, we were running at $957 per employee per month in expense. Part of the reason that was in place is you were still covering your over 65 retirees. And those over 65 retirees were actually running at a pretty high level of expense. In 2016, we see a downward trend of $899.53, a downward trend again in 27-18. That plan year at $877.88, and then we wound up at $874.99 in 2018-2019. Just to give you a little perspective, the annual trend that we see for generally for our clients is between 8 and 10% upward. So the fact that we've seen a downward trend is a good trend. Hopefully we'll see another downward trend in the 19-20 plan year, but we're always hopeful for that. It's unusual to see a downward trend. So
What would bring it down?
you're in a good position. Improvement in the claims cost, so less high claims, more utilization of the International Medical Services Program, which I'll talk a little bit about that. So right now, when we take a look at your claims costs, we don't have a lot of high-cost claimants. You are a little bit older population, though, so that's expected that we have claims costs that we have.
We are older?
That's not unusual. That's not unusual for government
Did he
entities.
say we are older?
He wasn't talking about me. He's a lot older than me.
I'll include myself in that. Thank you very much. But demographically, municipalities and governments tend to be a little bit older. Folks stay longer. You offer a good place to work, and they tend to stay a little bit longer. And you have less turnover as a result. So why have we seen a downward trend? Well, the first reason was the decrease of retirees covered. I went back and looked at your retirees at the point where you stopped covering your over 65 retirees, and I did an annualization to include those retirees. To give you a little perspective, we would have seen a run rate of about $1.2 million in those retirees. By not having those retirees in the plan and having the under 65 retirees, you're running about $240,000 in expenditure for them. So we've seen cost avoidance of about $1 million a year. So it was a good move for you folks to do that. Okay. There's also cost avoidance through the International Medical Solutions Program. I'll show you how much that is. And then we're having increasing participation in the wellness program. So when we took over as your consultants, you folks had launched the wellness program. It was underway. You're getting participation. As we moved moved in and did some additional consulting with you folks, brought in some additional resources, we're starting to see a lot more participation. So kudos to you folks for the efforts that you've done to do that. Okay. We take a look here. This is just a split of our active retirees versus our active employees versus our retirees. If we went back a couple of years and showed you another pie chart, the red on retirees was about 24%. So they were representing about 24% of your claims costs. They're only representing about 9%. Okay, so if you look there under 2018-19, your total claims came in at about 2.6 million, which is slightly lower than the prior year at 2.654 million. Okay. Go to the next slide here. We just want to remind you that the city entered into an arrangement with International Medical Solutions back in April of 2016, and that was really just to increase access to care across the border. We know that across the border, the cost differential between what is being paid in the United States is anywhere from 3 to 1 to as high as 7 to 1 different. And over time, we've had more and more employees start utilizing care, primarily for prescription drugs, but we're starting to see a little bit more uptick in them actually getting care down there by physicians and the hospitals that are contracted. The program has continued to expand down there, so there have been very good efforts to make sure that the doctors and hospitals and providers are bringing in are being vetted properly and to provide a better access to care down there. So as a result, we're starting to see more participation. One of the things the program offers are you'll see brand name medications. It does not cover generics, so it's the same brand name medications you get here in the United States as you would get in Mexico, and that's to protect your employees from generic prescription drugs not being regulated down there. Transportation is now available, so the program is making it easier for your employees to go across the border, and again, we're starting to see more and more participation, which is good. If we take a look at cost avoidance, I went back and took a look at, there's a little caveat on the bottom there. One of the things I did is I took out some of your large claimants, and the reason I took out the large claimants is that the likelihood of those large claimants accessing care in Mexico is probably not very good. Based on the medical conditions we see, there's probably a higher likelihood that they're going to stay here even though they could get lower cost care. But when we take a look over that 3-year period here, the total spend down there has gone up to cumulative is 1.46 million. And based on what we've seen, the cost avoidance is about $465,000. So we're seeing about an average of about $150,000 less in costs coming through the trust because your employees are going down into Mexico and accessing care. So it's a good sign. We like to see that we continue to see folks accessing care down there because that does help the trust considerably. We'll talk a little bit about the wellness program. So as I mentioned, we began working with you folks, our wellness account executive began working with your wellness committee. We installed a program called Bravo Wellness, and the goal was really to engage employees more into wellness and to be more aware and to educate them about the benefit of being healthy and well. In 2018-19 plan year, 78% of your employees completed all necessary criteria to earn the annual premium incentive. So you introduced a premium incentive last year, and employees now see those employees that participated are going to benefit from that premium incentive. What we did is we went through this process for those employees that did engage. The top health risks included obesity at 51%, hypertension at 23%, and then high cholesterol at 11%. Your high cholesterol is actually pretty good compared to what we see with some of our other clients. But the other two we do have to continue to deal with, so the wellness program will help that. In fact, in a couple of weeks, the city will be having their wellness fair again, so we're going to invite employees to come out. We'd love for you folks to come out as well. There'll be flu shots there, so don't be afraid. They don't hurt that bad. We did have some challenges. 19% of employees registered for the program but did not complete all necessary wellness activities to earn the annual premium incentive. So that percentage of the population is going to see more money coming out of their paycheck as a result of that. And then 39% of employees did not participate at all. So there's still some work to be done by the wellness committee and by the trust to get those employees engaged. Although I will commend you that 78% participation is pretty high. Okay. Some of the accomplishments that we saw: 59 people lost weight for a total of 563 pounds. Nicotine use was decreased by 5%, and then 68% held steady by not adding additional health risks between 17 and 19. That's the real important number. That means that the folks that have engaged are continuing to engage on a long-term basis. And that's where we're going to see the cost savings, is that folks that are starting to take care of themselves see the value of taking care of themselves. So we won't see a manifestation of large claims as a result of poor health in future years. So the current focus for us is an outcomes-based program, which began July 1st, 2019. Encourages employees to take action on their health risks in order to receive an incentive. So by outcomes-based means you have to do certain things to be rewarded. So we're going to continue to pursue that. And then the city's also exploring additional ways to continue to engage employees through the wellness program, and part of that is going to include the next discussion that we're going to have about a wellness facility. So we're very encouraged by what we're seeing. I wish I could have this news for all of my clients, but unfortunately I can't. Most of the time that trend is upward and not downward. So there are things that are going on that are working on your behalf. There are good decisions that were made. We'll continue to monitor that on your behalf. On a monthly basis, we provide claims reports. We meet with the trust. We make recommendations. We'll continue to make recommendations that we think will be beneficial to the trust of the city and their employees.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
On the per employee per month cost.
Yes, sir.
And the overall, the savings that you've been talking about. How is it that the last 2 years that I've been aware, because I've gone to several of the meetings, Mr. Bachiller does a wonderful job there, making sure everything stays on top of everything, and I thank the board for considering that hearing aid for the employees. I thought that was a good benefit for them. But let's just take last year. The increase for the employees is 15%. Should have been 15%. Well, 14. Well, I'm rounding now. 15%. 14 and a half. Let's say 14.5. And then the board decides, so it's not a high cost to the employee. They're going to supplement it with savings, and the employee is only going to pay half. So I'm just kind of confused. When you say all of this, per cost for employee is going down, but is it going down, or is it that we're not actually charging the premiums that we should be charging, and we're supplementing those premiums from our savings that eventually, even though with a stopgap, something could happen to those savings?
So there's two things that we're dealing with. So on the per employee per month costs, those are real. So those costs are actually going down. From a funding standpoint, the trust chose to use some of the reserves to keep the employees' premiums down. That's the reason that our reserves are put in place, and as they build up. The idea behind a self-funded trust is to have enough money set aside first to be viable, right? And so that there's enough money to fund the claims that are coming in. But if reserves build up, then at the discretion of the trust can use some of those reserves and buy down, so that employees then don't have more expense out of pocket. Now, that's not long-term sustainable. So we would say after a certain point in time, if we see an upward trend in the claims cost, then we have to then pass on some of that cost to the employee so that we're not drawing down on these funds.
Okay, that's what I see, and that's why I like, in order to avoid that from happening, is your wellness program that you're going to be coming up with. Because I think the healthier we can keep, to advocate, to be healthy.
Absolutely.
The payback is there's low cost, there's low payouts, and that's what keeps us financially sound with that.
Correct.
So well, I understand that, but I just want to make sure that everybody here gets the full picture that the premium should be a lot higher because we can afford to do it, but there may come a time where we won't be able to do it, and I just don't want the board to be the scapegoat, because it also involves all the claims that we have.
And again, as your consultant, we monitor on a monthly basis and provide reporting to you folks. And if there was a situation where we had to call timeout, the timeout might be in a different direction. Let's say your claims actually improve substantially, and at that point you might be building up too much of reserves. Now we could go back to the trust and say our recommendation is to, lower how much you're putting in the trust on reserves, and the trust might say no, we want to keep it the same because for that reason, rainy day, if things escalate on a later basis. It's a fluid process that we go through. So I wish claims was more of a science, but we do get surprises from time to time. Last year we did get some surprises. So as we came in with our recommendations, very soon after the plan was implemented, we saw some large claims creep in. Again, your cash position is still a good position.
And could you just tell, did you want to ask?
No, go ahead.
Could you just tell us what are the, respecting privacy, but just so that we know, what are the three, you talked about it at your last meeting, what are the three high costing cases that we have right now?
There's a brain cancer, there was a heart situation, and then there's a juvenile rheumatoid.
Those were the big, and we're very fortunate that that's basically what it is. The other thing that I have mixed emotions with is the international medical solutions, okay? And I understand because I have a lot of friends that ask me, where do you go to the dentist? And I tell them, I go to Tucson to the dentist. Where do you guys go? We go to Mexico. And I live right here on the border and I'm going over there. Fortunately, in 1970, many people didn't listen to President Nixon, who proposed the first national health care for the whole country, so we could be on it. And now, thanks to Obama, President Obama, we have some kind of national health care. So it's unfortunate that we can't provide all of our citizens something, and that we have to send our citizens into a foreign country to get their health care for them.
What a great country, Mexico.
But I see you're saving close to $500,000, and I sometimes I wonder, you know, why we're in this position and everything. But I noticed that there's a lady there that was there at the last meeting, and you contact her, and she takes care of setting up your appointments and finding your doctors and getting your transportation. So we basically really don't have to do anything. You just call this one person, and they take care of everything for you. Even if you have to go to Emerald Seal, they set up where you're going to stay. You stay for free. I mean, you can't beat that kind of service.
And I'll tell you, Councilmember Verona, the idea, the concept has been around about 20 years. And in the San Diego area, there are actually two major companies that have been providing care in Mexico. One actually created its own hospital in Mexico, and they market that program to employers there. So we believe, based on what we're seeing, and we're not getting any negative response from the employees and what their experience is, that as long as their experience is working out well, that it's a worthwhile program. And we're going to continue to encourage employees. It's at their option, obviously, if they want to access care down there. It's at their discretion. They're finding that the program has been very well put together, and it continues to be put together, and it continues to expand because it's being successful. So more effort is being put in, more money is being put in to provide that concierge level of service. I'm working right now with a 22,000 man trust here in the state, who is wanting to put that program in place for their school districts that are along the border, because of what they've seen as a value here in the city. They've come to us and said, we see that the results are good. How do we get a piece of that? So we're working with them to try to install it for their school districts.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. I don't know how many employees, current employees or active employees, are 65 and over. I know that the city encourages the employees to use the Medicare first as a first insurance, and then the city's insurance as a secondary. Now, if they go to Mexico, Medicare won't cover those costs, so they go ahead and use the city's insurance. Does the employees using the Medicare as their first insurance in the U.S., is that helping the downtrend on this cost? And is lower cost in medical services and medication in Mexico, does that balance out the cost?
I couldn't answer that because I don't know. We've never done an analysis of how many employees you have over 65. It's something we could look at. Actually, by virtue of your program and the way it's set up as an employer-sponsored plan, your program is first, Medicare is actually second when it's built. So even though an employee may show a Medicare card, if they have on file that they're an employee of the city, that one will be filed first and second.
Right. It's primary, this one. City insurance primary.
Well, I think in years back, it was required that the employees use over 65, they use their Medicare as a primary, right?
That might have been retirees. If they were already retired, then they would use Medicare as primary.
just for clarification, I have Medicare, but every time I go for medical services, they always charge the city insurance as the primary.
Right.
And then whatever was left over, then Medicare picks it up.
The federal government is payer of last resort.
Yes, exactly. I just, as a general, I don't want to, did I interrupt you?
No. I heard him all the way over here.
Because he caught me on the last one. I don't want.
I heard him all the way over.
I just want, Mayor, just as a final comment, I think that there's a good partnership between EBT board and people who manage, especially that. Even though I have some mixed conflicts of it, but I think it's working well financially. It's good, and I do have a concern with the EBT board, but I'll take that up on future agenda items. But I thought it's good. It's a good report. I think you guys are doing a good job working together.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. It's been a
Same
good
here.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 6.
Mayor.
Yes.
Thankful for Mr. President Nixon for his forethought of national health insurance.
You sure? Are you sure about that? Okay. Vice
Dígale, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Next.
Next. Discussion items. Number 1, discussion possible action, one-time, non-reoccurring holiday payment to each employee. Again, we discussed this on study session. Do I have a motion on this?
I thought we were going to wait for them to come up with a list or something.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Don't we have to, we want to move on that first?
the suggested motion would be to direct staff to come up with a list
Yes.
of all employees who received pay increases from January 1 to date, and the reason why they received that salary increase, and bring it back to mayor and council so they can formulate a plan on how to implement the one-time payment option that we're talking about.
Motion to. What are you doing?
I make a motion on what John just said.
With no names.
Mira,
Yes.
With no
This guy-
names, Mayor.
complains
no
he
name.
can't remember, and he can't even remember that. Motion to authorize the city
Yes.
manager to provide the mayor and council with a list of employees from January the 1st to the present date on any kind of financial increases and
Reason why?
the reasons for those increases.
Second.
Second. He's got the second. All right.
Let me,
Do we have any discussion? I guess we discussed this
we
already.
discussed it.
Yes.
We
Vice
had
Mayor.
said with, he mentioned of employees, we had said with no names.
No names. right?
No names. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, corrected, you say job descriptions.
Job
Yes.
description.
I stand corrected. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yes. All right.
At least there's intellectual foresight.
And you forgot just one little thing, also for the 2 contract,
We would include those in the list that we provided
yeah,
to you, Mr. Mayor.
include those in the list too. Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Discussion, number 2, discussion possible action, EBT Employees Fitness Center project, Mr. Bachelier. Fantastic.
Sí, ya lo estuvimos.
He explained it to me, but not in detail, general concepts.
Anyway, let me give you the purpose of this presentation is a follow-up to our wellness program. So we just had a presentation giving the council at least an opportunity to see the status of our trust fund. Within the last few years, we have heard from the employees that, why can't we have our own fitness center, just dedicated for us. We want some place just to go. We don't like the health fitness club scene. So we kind of listened. The trust went ahead and made a decision to approve funding for design concept. We're complete with that process at this point in time, and the reason we put it on as a action item is because I would just want the council to know that the trust would incur the costs, but ultimately, if something were to fail, obviously the city would have to, let's just say, underwrite the project. So I just want the council to understand that there could be some risk that they are assuming if the trust makes the decisions to potentially build this facility. Right now, all we're asking for is your permission or your approval and consideration to move the project forward into a construction phase, which would mean we would just develop the construction documents, maybe phase out the project if we needed to. I don't think we would want to go that way. But I would like to at least get the project to the point where it's shovel ready. Then we could reevaluate the status of our trust fund and decide as a group, do we move forward and construct at this point in time. Okay, I'm going to bring Gary Grizzle up to the podium. He's our architect. He'll kind of give you a little bit of background and some of the challenges we had just trying to locate a site at this point in time, but he'll kind of go through the process. Does anybody know how to get to the full screen from here?
Yeah, Mary, Marcel, go to view and then from there.
It's a PDF.
But go to view full screen. Up on top there, the view. That was tools. Go to view.
Where's this one? It's a
View.
You see the view tab?
Top left.
No. Where it says file, edit, view.
No, up.
Arribita.
Up.
You went
there.
to tools. There you go.
It's a PDF, Mr. Kissinger, not a PowerPoint.
We can get the picture. We have it in front of us. Just put what you have. It's time for me to see the Rachel Maddow show.
Jesus.
My God.
My God. The mind is gone.
That's good. We got it.
That's good right there.
All right, Gary, you're up.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Gary Grizzle. I'm with the WLB Group, and we were in charge of the civil engineering and the landscape architecture portion of this. We had an architect still working on the project, Rick Hutch from Seaver Frank Architects, who designed the building portion of this. Our task was to develop the employee fitness facility building and to find a location for it. So what I'm going to start off with is getting everyone oriented. This is Hohokam Drive. Here's the existing rec center. We got the baseball fields, soccer fields. So when we were looking for a site, our original idea was that we were going to put it in this area right here where there's an existing vacant building. After a little bit more research of that, we found that there was a lot of unsuitable soils associated with that would have a big economic impact to the project. So that site was out. Our second location was at the end of this existing parking lot. There's a kind of a flat area out here. So we looked at that, but that area I think was, well, I know it's fill. I think it was fill from when the soccer field got built. I'm not exactly sure, but that is not engineered fill, and it's just placed fill. So putting a building on that is not economically viable as well. So we looked up and down this area. We need kind of a flattish site, an area for the whole building to sit on, and so we came up with this area right here. One of the things about this area is that, and how we located the building is, you can see that we have the building kind of oriented in this direction here. What we wanted to do is, there's some windows on the back side of the weight room, cardio room, and we wanted those views to be of a positive, you know, there's natural desert back here, and this provides some positive views. Some of this stuff right down here, it's a little more construction-related materials, and it's not as attractive as the natural desert. So I'm gonna go to the next slide, but what I was wanting to show you is the front door is right in this location. So let's see. Get to the next slide. Okay, here we go. All right, so again, here is the access road up to it, the parking lot, and here's the front door that we just talked about. One of the things that we would do here is there's an existing parking lot out there, but our proposal would be that we would put new asphalt down for this. Also, what we would do is provide ADA parking along with sidewalk right to the front door. So the ADA parking and the front door is close proximity to each other. We would also have, along with this, a new landscaped fill area, and we have to have this fill pad to create a level pad for the building. The existing access road along here is in need of some attention. It's a little rough right now, so what we've proposed is re-asphalting that road and providing pedestrian access via sidewalk from the lower area up to this area. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and it's going to be looking at the front door, which is right here, and there's a conference room right in this area. So this is so this was the front door that I was just showing you, and here's the conference room, just to kind of get you oriented to where you are. The architect designed this building. It's a contemporary style building, but you can see what the architect did was he has varying roof levels. We've got pop-outs of different portions of the buildings, little setbacks, and there's varying colors and a little accent color. The whole idea here was to create a building that's visually pleasing to look at, aesthetically nice. And so that's the whole hope here is that this was a building that was attractive. So I'm going to go to the floor plan, and again, I want to get your orientation correct. So here's the front door, and here is the conference area. So again, here's the front door that we just looked at. This plane of the building is what you saw on the last slide. Here is the conference room. So this building footprint is about 4,400 square feet. When you proceed through the building, obviously you enter here. Each city employee would have a key card, and they would be able to access this with their key card. This facility would be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That would allow people who work at night or during the day to be able to go to this place and work out anytime they needed to. So as you go through the entry vestibule, you come into the cardio and free weight room. You'll see that there's glass windows here and some windows that go into this area. This cardio and free weight area is approximately, it's 25 feet by about 40 feet. And some of the components in there would be treadmills, ellipticals, row machines, a universal weight machine, stationary bikes, and then there'd be an area for free weights. There would also be TVs mounted up on the thing, so when people are working out, you know, you'd have something to watch. As you go into the Zumba room and aerobics room, which is in this area, it is a classroom that can house about 15 people for a class. There would be wood floors and a sound system that would be associated with this. Coming over to this area over here, this is the demo kitchen and multi-purpose area. The idea here is that this would be an area to teach people how to cook correctly and how to have, you know, cooking foods, and so that you would be able to go home and be able to cook healthy foods for yourself. This would be an area where you could teach people how to do that. You would teach them about nutrition. You would teach them about good eating habits. You know, when you have the workout, so you have one component of getting healthy is working out. The second component is eating healthy. So when you combine both of those together, you'll have a healthier person. So the intent here is that these go together. This makes a great facility when you have both of them here at this one spot. Other activities that could happen in this area are, you know, you could have the flu shot clinic there. You could also have a physician come in for wellness visits. You know, they could be housed in this. You know, they have those mobile blood pressure machines. Those could be in there, you know, so people get checked. So then we also have this conference room, you know, and this could double up with the multi-purpose room. You know, if you had quite a few people, there could be an extra room for the doctors, for the wellness exams that could happen there, or flu shots. In addition to that, this conference room could be used for city-related meetings. If you had meetings that you wanted and they're city-related, you could have an additional space for those. As you go back over here, obviously we have a utility closet. These are more in a custodial closet. We've got a men's and women's locker room.
With showers?
There's 2 showers in each and about 10 to 12 lockers in each one of them. So we've also come up with a preliminary opinion of probable construction cost based on these drawings. And so we'll go over that now.
Let me ask a question.
Yes,
Mayor,
sir.
Yes, go ahead.
what I'm looking at this, well, first of all, the conference room is really no better. There's plenty of conference rooms. There'll be conference rooms. That conference room could be turned into a spinning room, because there's a lot of people that like spinning classes, so you have to have it. But here's my concern. This thing is open Monday through Sundays?
24/7.
24/7. Okay. At 24/7, we've got to have somebody there, which is okay. But what happens with the individuals, like they want to go during the day, during your prime time, let's say between 7 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon? There's 200 plus employees. And our local gym here is closed from 10 to 5 in the morning. Well, there's a reason why they're closed, because there's not enough people that go there that justify the cost, which I would draw down to say the same thing, that everybody likes to go work out either early in the morning or during the day. Sometimes I see the fire department over there take their trucks over there, but they have their radios with them and they go and exercise. They have their good workout. I watch them, and I've seen several police officers go over there and then get ready to go on to duty. But what happens with a regular employee that basically doesn't have that kind of a flexibility, and everybody wants to go from 8 to 5, and that during those prime times, I don't think, from what I see here, you're going to have enough equipment. Now, if you don't have enough equipment for the individuals there, then I show up and I say, I can't work out. Then I get frustrated and I don't go back. So how are you going to address that problem?
Well, we were given a budget and a size. Obviously, the bigger and the better that you make it, it's going to cost more money. Now, the idea that it being open 24/7 is that it does give the flexibility for people to come at different hours. Now, if someone came like at 7 in the morning and it was a little crowded, they possibly could adjust their time a little bit, come a little earlier or a little later, or even come in the afternoon. The idea, I think, with it being open 24 hours is for the people who work different hours than just the normal 8 to 5. And let's say a fireman works and he's off at night, he can go, or he's working at night, he can go over there and he'd have the run of the place. That's my only answer to that.
Well, that's a concern that I have from seeing this, something that to look into, to have space. You don't need a fitness center with a conference room, okay? That's not, to go to have meetings at a conference room doesn't match up with me. And you're gonna need equipment, otherwise you're gonna have a lot of space there, but if you don't have enough equipment, people get frustrated. Because when I go there, if I can't do my workout that I wanna do, then I go the next time and there's nothing there. Then I decide, well, I gotta have an alternative. Now, speaking about alternatives, Marcel, will the employee have an alternative where we could help supplement the fees to a local gym? Or is it something that you want them to go there so you can monitor who's going and actually taking advantage?
That's not the purpose of us to put it there, is not to monitor who's coming and going. We're just want to provide a facility the employees can use. Right now, we don't have a program where we incentivize or provide any kind of a supplement for them to go to the fitness center. And I know the local fitness center owner does give some discounts to city employees, but that's kind of taken care of on a one-on-one basis.
Is it, well, this is not my idea. This is a whisper to me from Councilman Henesian, which is a vital one, because the one thing we don't want to do, we don't want entrepreneurs to say, you're taking business away from me. I don't want entrepreneurs. Why is the city competing with my business? Even though I see it in bigger cities like that. The concept is excellent. I'm all in favor of the concept. I just want to make sure that you think of all of these things, because I don't want this building to sit empty and people say, hey, when I want to go, there's not enough machines, so I'm not going to go. And then what happens is, then they market that idea, and then everybody just says it without even going. Just something for you guys to think about, and then look at this. I know there's another fitness gym coming into town. So I just don't want to be in competition, and I want to make sure that there's enough equipment that the employees will use it. That's the concept is great. The only thing I would just say, Mayor, on any cost on this, that the final award and everything, Mr. Kissinger, is done by the mayor and council, not the EBT board. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, the discussion? Yeah, right?
Is he done with the presentation?
Yeah.
You guys finished with the
No,
presentation?
no, yeah, but I mean, you were gonna say something about the building or anything?
No, I was just going to say that I think that problem that Councilman Barona was talking about would probably be in the evening, because I guess about 80% of the city employees are working from 8 to 5, so they're not going to the gym at that time. So that problem would occur after working hours, or maybe in the early morning hours.
Yeah. That's all we have. Okay, go ahead.
So again, we did our opinion of probable construction costs based on this concept here. And so, let me zoom in a little bit here. So we have the building coming in at about $800,000, and that's roughly $180 a square foot. That includes that includes the electronic and safety security measures. It includes obviously all the heating and cooling, and the fire suppression material. The site is coming in over a little bit over $200,000, and that includes the fill pad that we would have, the landscape fill pad that we would have to build, the parking lot, and all the utilities, the dries, the sewer, and the water, and the dry utilities coming up to it. We've broken out the access road. It's coming in around $65,000, and that includes repaving and providing the sidewalk going up to it. We wanted to keep that separate just because so we would understand what that cost was. And again, these costs are based on the drawings as they are now. As we move into construction document phase, if we do, they could be adjusted. This also has a 25% contingency built into it, just because we're at such an early stage at this point. So that's pretty much the presentation. If you have any questions.
Yes, in reference to the site in the access road, couldn't that be done by our Public Works Department?
If there's we didn't take that into consideration. I wanted the council to kind of see what the costs were. You know, that we had shared some time together, Mayor. We talked about the idea of bringing a concession stand and restaurants to Holcomb Field, and then we were going to have to run the utilities ourselves anyway, so that could help with offset some of those costs. And then obviously, yes, the improvement to the roadway.
Yeah, because we could run the sewer line up there, because there's a manhole right at the bottom by the WIC building that can be used, and we could run the sewer line up there and probably all the conduit for electrical to keep it underground, so you don't have to have any overhead electrical. Because at one time the design for Holcomb Soccer Field was to have a concession stand and bathrooms up there. So that's still probably, we'll be doing that in-house one day. And we could probably do a lot of that, and we pave. We have crews that pave also. Okay. So we could pave the road, widen it a little bit. We could do the sidewalks for you, and we could even pave the parking lot.
Right.
You know, so there's ways there, just a little bit of savings that we could do in-house ourselves.
Thank you.
That'd be like a public-private company. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, is there industry standards on the number or the number of equipment for persons participating? So if you have 200, the potential of 285 employees who could use it, is there some type of industry standard of how many treadmills you would need, or how many,
I'm sure there are standards, and I could get that information from the architect.
I wonder how that would compare to what we're designing.
This being open, any time and allowing the employees to come at any time is, it provides more opportunity for them to come and participate. But yeah, we could look into that and get to that information.
And we know not every employee is going to take advantage of it. I know that for a fact. I think that's the reality of it. If we get half of our employees to go, I would be very happy. But I don't think it's even going to be half. But I hope we get at least half that use it on a regular basis. Because it's not their scene. They want to do something different. The Zumba and the yoga and that kind of stuff, we can take a larger amount of employees at one time. And then we have a handful of employees that do that already. That potentially take.
Mr. Hanesian could be the Zumba teacher.
You can't even teach political science. And spinning.
Well, I tried, Councilman.
I hope you
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
The depiction of the equipment that's there was just for
just for the
space.
Yeah.
No, I got
Space.
at the end. What equipment is actually going to go in there where? Just kind of.
Marcel, who's going to be in charge of the maintenance of the equipment, and if something breaks down, who's responsible for replacing that equipment? Is the city going to be responsible for that?
The trust will. I know that the custodian for Parks and Rec will take care of the custodial daily stuff there. Yes, obviously we'll take care of the maintenance.
It's very nice.
Okay. Yes.
And we will probably have to include it in a liability insurance also, right? For any accident that happens there.
I don't think there are employees, so.
Yeah.
But it's covered by a policy anyway.
Yes, correct.
I'm assuming that if the trust builds the building, the city property, Mr. Massey, I'm assuming that building becomes city property, not trust property.
Because the trust can't hold any assets,
Right.
so it would have to revert to the city. The city would have to rent it to at least it to the trust for a year or whatever.
So we'd have, Mr. Mayor and members of council, we'd have to look into all of those legal questions and present the plan of action at that time. I haven't done the research to know all of the limitations, but we have a very good insurance company who we would make sure that it's properly covered.
Okay, great.
Is this an action?
No.
Oh.
No, Marcel wanted action. It says there
Yeah, you wanted
Mr. Mayor,
action
they want
too.
action.
Yeah.
The action,
Marcel, that's right.
Suggested
Actually,
motion.
that's what you
but
wanted.
just, I guess just your approval for the trust to now seek proposals to develop the construction documents for the facility.
And come back to us.
Well, after they're done, we're not gonna, once we get the construction documents, then we would potentially come back to you, or have to come back to you for any construction before we do anything. But we gotta develop the documents, just like we do for the park back
Yes.
here. We have to have construction documents before we can do anything.
Okay, I just want to have clarity because of my deal with it. Mr. Massey, so is the EBT board going to award this project? Can they legally award the project, or does the mayor and council have to award the project?
Mayor, members of council, I will have to get back to you on that. I think it is going to be EBT dollars that are going to be spent.
Which are city dollars.
But I think it might be a situation where both should probably approve it.
Okay, and if one doesn't?
Then one doesn't, then I think we're not going forward. But let me look into that further.
Okay, so Marcel, you just want approval to move forward with the project?
Yes,
Yes.
to give
Motion to accept the recommendation of Parks and Recreation Director Marcel Bachelier to move forward with the EBT Employee Fitness Center project and to present it to the mayor and council.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you very much for your support.
Marcel, stay there.
I know.
I thought you were sitting down. Discussion possible action regarding moving forward with phase 2 on Techea Park.
Mr. Mayor, I will step out just in case I have a
Yes.
conflict of interest.
Go ahead, go to Denny's, eat a burger or something.
Is Marcy coming with you?
You want to send Marcy with you?
No.
Vice Mayor.
I was thinking of sending Robert with you, keeps you company.
Offer him $1 and that's it.
I don't want to be accused of being lobbied.
Yes, let me get
For
one
the
of these
record.
sweets. Go, Marcel, go ahead.
Bad
Marcel.
idea.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the council.
For the
All right.
The reason this item is on the agenda, unfortunately, staff overlooked placing an action item at the last meeting when we talked about the final design of the Techea Park. At that time, we were hoping, we needed council to formally approve, moving into phase 2 of the project, which would be the development of the final site design, as well as the construction documents and the phasing of that project. We did not have a formal action item on the agenda, so that's why we brought this back. So I'm just needing a vote to move forward into phase 2 of that project.
Mr. Mayor?
But is there anything you need for us to discuss? Do you think there's something for us to discuss on this? Or you just want us to?
We just needed a formal approval just to be able to move forward.
So, Mr. Mayor, we brought this back, we brought this to you in our last meeting. It was vetted and discussed at length with mayor and council. There appeared to be consensus amongst the council to move forward.
Yes.
However, it wasn't agendized as an action item. So we brought it back to you as an action item, and staff's recommendations that you approve
What we discussed last
what
time.
you with what you discussed last time, giving Marcel authorization to move forward on phase 2 of the Techea Park.
Correct.
Okay, now, phase 2, I don't know, is that what you're gonna say? Go ahead,
And
Councilman.
I don't know if Marcel wants to recap what phase 2 is
No.
for you.
But here's getting back to what I asked Mr. Matt. Mr. Kissinger, you have to prepare me for these meetings. It has to be in writing. You have to tell us, not right now to recap in this one. You have to tell us when you send out the agenda, I don't see anything here and some items here. You've got to tell us, and this is my recommendation. So we come prepared to the meeting, not guessing, not wanting to know what was happening. I don't want to rehash what we already did, but you have to prepare us for all of our meetings and give us an outline of everything that's on the agenda with your recommendation. I don't want to go to this. We're doing something back. You could just tell us this wasn't happening, and we could go through these meetings a lot quicker without having to rehash this. Please have your staff prepare us with outlines, PowerPoint, everything in front of us so we come prepared to the meeting. That's all, Mayor.
Okay.
If Mr. Kissinger's recommending it, I just think that we should be better prepared. I'm going to support the city manager. That's what we're here for, to support the city manager. The city manager should also prepare us for the meetings.
I understand. Just on another hand, phase 2 is amphitheater on that?
That's included in there, yes.
Yes.
So everything you saw during the presentation is included in that whole renovation
Phase
of the
2
park.
just takes us another step.
Yeah, so they're gonna take what you saw as far
Okay.
as the design and develop the construction documents.
Okay.
So that, and they'll actually phase it out in the event that the city desires to complete it in
Eliminate something or
phases.
whatever. Okay.
So it'll be, if you wanna call it shovel ready, it'll be shovel ready.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcel.
So,
All right,
Mr. Mayor?
motion. Okay.
Motion to approve the recommendation of the city manager to go ahead and proceed forward with phase 2 of Techea Park.
All right, second. Okay, Hector's got second. All right, well, is there any more discussion? Go ahead.
So, where are we at with the amphitheater? That's what on phase 2, are you going to proceed to purchase? Are you going to go for a grant, if I remember right last time? That outdoor auditorium or amphitheater, whatever you want to, I think is going to be so wonderful for our community. So I don't know if I asked this question last
Mr. Mayor?
time or not.
So, on the last presentation, we showed you conceptual plans on what could possibly happen out there, right? Marcelo's asking tonight for the authorization to go forward and get construction documents to get it done. How we're going to pay for the actual building of Hohokam Park is multi-phase, possibly. The chair part is going to be potentially phased in depending on funding. We are going to be looking for a grant. The grant money that we're going to be looking for could be used for construction, or it could be used for land acquisition, depending on how it comes in and the best decision that we'll make. But regardless of how we go forward on funding and seeking funding, we can't do any of it until we get the construction plans done, so we know what it's going to cost us to get it done. So that's why we're asking for permission now to get a shovel-ready project in phase manner, so we can move forward in obtaining grants, and obtaining funding, and obtaining the land to build Techea Park as presented to Mayor and Council.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then I have
no problem.
First and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Yes.
Did I say that right, Marcel? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
John,
What was that?
except for the Hohokam.
Yeah, except for the Hohokam part.
It's because the soccer people have me a little nervous.
We're about to spend a lot of money on
Everything else
Hohokam
was
soccer
okay.
field. Okay, number 4, discussion possible action regarding the recruitment of city manager. Okay, go ahead. We discussed that already.
We already discussed it, we just need to put it into action, what we're going to do. And
Okay,
basically,
do I have a motion on what we discussed?
basically what we want to do is I make a motion that the council will turn into the city manager within 20 days our top 10 candidates.
Yes.
And then after that, immediately the manager, city manager will get back to the mayor with the analysis, and the mayor will bring that forward to the council.
Yes.
That's my motion.
Second?
We're not finished with your item yet, Mr.
Second.
Garcia. I'm still waiting.
Son mentiras.
Second.
God, you missed a good one. All right, there's a second.
Calendar days or?
No, just
Do you want it to be calendar days or just regular days?
Working days.
Work days?
Yes.
sooner the better.
Well,
the sooner the better
work
is
days is
every
longer,
day.
calendar days shorter.
Yeah, whatever, I mean, if we get it in, just go calendar days.
Calendar.
Calendar days, yes, sir, we can do it in calendar.
Just send us a little thing when it's due so I know.
Calendar days,
All
got
right.
it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Newbar, did you hear what we talked about?
No, I saw what it was, yeah.
I'm proud of you. Okay, number 5, discussion possible action regarding the city of Nogales Annex Chase Building.
Motion to authorize the city manager to seek out the services of an architect for the design of the city of Nogales Annex Building as described and directed at our study session.
There you go. I second that. Okay, no discussion. We have plenty of it.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, and I did a real quick count, it looks like it's October 22nd when we need
October
those.
22nd.
October
Well,
22nd.
October
We
22nd.
need the names of October 22nd. What did you think? That we're going to build the court?
October 22nd.
20 days?
We're having a meeting?
No, you have to turn into John.
Oh,
You have to turn into
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because October 22nd.
Okay, orders.
Did we vote?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Number 7, you can.
Yeah, we're going to be skipping number 7.
Liquor license.
Yes, that's going to be skipped. Okay, number 8, orders. Consideration possible action of order 2019-10-057.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you. I have a second. Okay, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 2, consideration possible action of order 2019-10-058.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, consideration possible action of order 2019-101-059.
So move, Mayor.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, good job, Council. Number 9, Mayor and Council's report on current events. We'll start with you, Hector.
Yeah, I attended the anniversary of Saguarita event there at they turned 25 years as a town, and it was very interesting. You know, they were very professional. They even had those teleprompters, you know, where the mayor stood up and spoke to the people there, and they had a really nice luncheon. And I also attended the night out, which was there was not a lot of people because we had changed the dates, and somebody told me that if we would distribute flyers to the schools, we could have probably had more people there, because some people that worked at the school district said that they didn't know anything about this. And the other day, I attended the baseball games for the Mexican League Fiesta Baseball, and it was a pretty good event. You know, I think we should keep doing that, and I hope that next time we have better advertisement for that, you know, so that more people can attend. And that's about it.
Councilman Hanesian?
I think everything Councilman Mr. here had to say, right? I think basically I echoed it, and I think pretty much whatever anybody else will say, we were there. I knew we were there with the Mexican consulate on some deals, and like I said, I think everything will come out. I didn't make a list, but I think everything will come out. So I give it now to Dr. Verona here to go ahead and finish it off.
Thank you, Councilman Hennessy.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Barona.
Thank you. I had lunch with Arturo Medendro. He is the new director of Parque Industrial in Nogales, Sonora, one of the huge original maquiladoras there. The property belongs to the city of Nogales, Sonora, and the city this year, the ones who manage the property for the last 50 years has been United States corporation, and this year they were paying, I understand, $125,000 a month rent, and now the city of Nogales, Sonora has taken over Parque Industrial, and now Arturo Medreno is now the head guy of all of it, and he was explaining, and we were talking about economic development there. We had a very nice lunch. I took him over to the college. He was very impressed, trying to see also if we could do some things for the students that need to learn English with the college and everything. It was very nice. Mayor, would you encourage you to meet with him and everything for that? I also attended the informe of the mayor of Nogales, Sonora, as has already been eloquently stated by Councilman Bojorquez. I was disappointed though in one thing. Overall it was done, but I was disappointed that he did not mention anything about the sewer that's coming across on above ground on into Nogales, Arizona, and I think that problem has escalated. Where we're receiving a lot of complaints about the stench in the area over there. There was an email that was sent to our city manager by the mayor of Nogales, Sonora, saying by yesterday afternoon at the latest at nighttime that problem will be taken care of. This morning I went over there and the stench is still there. It's still happening with that. And I think we need to have a meeting, Mayor, to find out what's going on so we can respond to this and what recommendations we're getting, because I don't like this kind of relationship where they have responsibilities and they're not carrying out the responsibilities of taking care to make sure that dark water doesn't come into our community. And I just don't like that. I also attended the Sahuarita State of the City address. Also that I forgot to mention last time on the conference that we attended at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. I attended along with a lot of you here. I think Councilman Rojas, you were there with me, and several of you here. Public-private partnerships in opportunity zones and how cities and towns can utilize these programs in their community. The basics of economic development for cities and towns, what elected officials need to know. And when a community wins, how to measure success in your economic development projects that come to your city or town. Just something, Mayor, that I went to those with several. There was a lot of good ideas. They were talking about an opportunity zone. Maybe we can get a presentation on that so that we can go ahead and see how we can step up our game with economic development and help with Morley Avenue. Even though Morley Avenue is a unique item, it isn't like downtown Tucson or downtown Tempe or downtown Phoenix in their revitalization, because they don't have an international border like we do, okay? So it's not that people tell me, well, go over there to downtown Tucson. It's not the same. We have a different clientele than what they have there. And I also, Mrs. Montiel, this calendar that you gave us is excellent idea. It helps keep us organized. Wish you would have done this a long time ago, but at least it tells us where we have to, instead of getting these invitations and these, and you can't keep track of where we're supposed to be or what we should be doing. Thank you for that. And also, I went to the baseball. Very, very good. I don't think the marketing, I think the marketing was good. To you, Councilman Maldonado, but I don't agree with
Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Maldonado. Thank you, Councilman Rojas. Pass, Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think that the price for the tickets is too expensive. If you want to have a family to go over there, if I wanted to take 3 of my grandkids, you know, that's $70 to get into the game. And that's, even for me, that's just, I think you need to start working on the price. I don't think the marketing, I think that the price of the tickets just kept people away from it because they can't afford that. You got them, they don't charge that much across the line. Why are they charging that much over here? And to top it off, I remember we had this agreement with them that we had, and we're picking up most of the expenses, the city of Nogales. So that's, I think, something, and congratulations to you, Vice Mayor. You did a wonderful job. And there, I thought everything was very well organized. Thank you.
It's, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go.
Mr. Varona didn't forget, Councilman Varona didn't forget, he had to take me to lunch to the Two-Back Country Club for a bet he lost on North Carolina on who was going to win the congressional seat and one of the legislative seats. Yes.
Well,
I thought
that's
that
good.
was, that should be
Why are you
mentioned.
bringing it
That
to our
should be
attention?
mentioned because he lost it.
And he paid? And he paid?
Yeah, he paid, yes.
I'm
He
proud of
paid.
you, Councilman.
He paid. Even though he trembled, but he paid.
Good job. Vice Mayor.
Okay. I ain't gonna be redundant, this, the Informe, Nogales, Sonora, Zaguarita, Douglas, I did, Marcel, I wanna thank you guys and Parks and Rec, the police, squad, Mr. Bermudez, Chief, thanks for all the great support during the games.
It was very
totally professional.
Absolutely. Can I say something to that, Mayor?
Yes.
I want to support the Vice Mayor on that, Marcel. Your group did a wonderful job. I even heard, because I sat close to the Obregón on our side, and I heard the ball players say in Spanish, look at how good they got the field going, how organized, how your crew was. Just a wonderful job that you guys
Councilman, the Vice Mayor is going to leave because you took his thunder, man. He was about to say that.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Marcy, again, Mark, thank you.
Just a thank you.
But police, Chief Roy, you guys did a great job. Basically, yes, there's a lot of little things we got to tweak on that. You know, the price, the time, weekday, and all that. There's a lot of things that we can do to make it better, and that's what we're going to be learning from every year. Mayor, I attended, we had the Coyotes deliver some hockey materials. Basically, they donated 2 hockey equipment, full equipment, basically hockey clubs, pucks and shirts and all that. They donated to NSUSD, which they selected the middle schools. They took them to Desert Shadow Middle School, and then they were going to take some to Wade Carpenter. Kids loved it. The kids loved it. Gave them a different activity to do during their PE session, which was great. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Rojas.
No reports, Mayor.
Oh, good one. I like it. Okay, you go ahead, Councilwoman.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for the Fiestas Patrias event. It was a very, very good event. And now I'm working for the event, Dia de los Muertos. It's going to be October 26th, again at Terran Park from 4 to 10. And Marcel, thank you for all the help. I mean, you've been just great. That's it.
Good. Now it's my turn. Got everybody involved in this. 4 pages of it.
No.
Number one, I attended the Fiestas Patrias, which was a great event. Like Councilwoman said, we had a great time. All right. I attended a Grito in Nogales, Sonora, which is the Cry of Independence. That was a good event too. Yeah, even though the cord of the bell was torn off, but it was good.
What happened with that, Mayor? Could you explain a little
He
bit?
was jerking on it instead of swinging. I don't know. They just tore it off. But it was good. It went well, and right after that, everything went well. The fireworks were really good, and it was unbelievable. I've also, can I help you? Is anybody, okay. No, no. I have been appointed to the advisory board of the Dependable Home Health, which is really going to go a lot stronger here in Nogales. It's going to be very good for our residents, especially our elderly and sick. I attended the Sahuarita State of the Town Address by Tom Murphy, which was very good. And also on the same day, after there, we traveled to Douglas, and I attended the City Address by Mayor Uribe. Attended the special event, the POW-MIA ceremony at Jesus Cordova Park. And on that one, I want to thank all the veterans, VFW Riders of Arizona Sky Island chapter, and VFW for their participation and hard work to make this event memorable. The VFW Riders, just for information, started their ride at VFW immediately after the ceremony. Great success on their 13th annual POW. And Councilman Robert Rojas participated in the motorcycle run. Good job, Councilman. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. The Mexican baseball fiesta took place. I want to thank Jorge Maldonado, Marcel Bachiller, and the Mexican Baseball Organization that helped get this event organized. Next year's ideas, Vice Mayor. We have to start it earlier. Yeah, I hear you left almost 12 o'clock last night.
12:21.
Kathy, did you hear that?
What was that?
He left at 12 o'clock last night.
I wanted to stay. I had no car to go home with afterwards.
You're going to have to walk next time.
I agree, Mayor.
And then we have if we can have the games on a weekend, it would be a lot better too. You know, more families would attend. And like I guess everybody mentioned, the price. We need to talk about the price. The Nogales Night event, Nogales Night Out event was a success. To me, it was a success. And on that one, I want to thank Lieutenant Robert Thompson and all public safety agencies, Consulado Mexicano, Circles of Peace, Unisors, Ceros Tres, Villas Market, Walmart, Knights of Pythias. All of these organizations and businesses had something to do with the donations, and I'm very happy with that. That's what you call community involvement. It was a great success. And upcoming events, Councilwoman already mentioned it, El Dia de los Muertos. On Saturday at October 26th at Karen Park. It's going to be a good event. We're going to have a good time there, and there's going to be music, food, and altares. So it's be interesting to see. And I had something else, but I forgot it. I didn't put it on the list.
What could it be?
I don't know, but I don't think about it.
How's the sidewalk and the street going over there?
Yeah, before I forget. All the paving projects are moving along real good. There was a little problem with the weather, especially in the Valle Verde area and the McNabb area, but it's clearing up. McNabb, I think they got all the sewer lines and water lines already taken care of. Yes? Okay. And they're in the process of paving. And Valle Verde, I think they've gone on the last phase of the compaction before they start paving on that. So they'll be paving on that. Our crews are completing West Street with the sewer, all the sewer lines and water connections. They should be paving it within the next week. And then they're going to jump back on Silver Reef, I guess. Is it Silver Reef or is it, no? Silver Reef? Yeah, Silver Reef in Valle Verde. So, matter of fact, I got an email from teacher Luis Villa thanking the city of Nogales that he's been living there for almost 40 years and he has never seen a paving project in Valle Verde up to now. So he's thanking the city of Nogales. This is the first paving project in Valle Verde.
Mayor, what about Perkins and
Perkins
Lincoln School?
They're going through that. You're already going to start that project pretty soon, aren't you?
As soon as they're done with McNabb.
McNabb, I think, is the one that, and then they're jumping to Perkins. Once they do Perkins, they're going to do the Charles Street, do some of the little streets on the side, but it's going to be a complete project on that one too. So that one we're going to have to work with detours and stuff because of the school, the time of the year and everything. Right. But you know, I've got calls from people that complain because of they have to detour, but they understand that they haven't had a paving like on West Street. The sewer line was almost no sewer line. Basically, it was I think it was a clay or clay pipe was it, and it was all.
The cemetery.
Actually, only the top of the pipe was still there. The bottom was no longer there. So now they have a new sewer line and services and everything. Once they pave it, those streets there, that's where my neighborhood is. They haven't been paved in over 50 years since they did. So we used to play in those streets when they were dirt. And we used to live on Walnut Street, remember?
Right next to you.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, and on the sidewalks, Councilman Barona, I know you're concerned about the sidewalks on Frank Reed. Those, I think we're going to be working on them as soon as they finish the Silver Reef, because the same crews that do our paving do the sidewalks. They're going to jump over and start doing some sidewalks, so we're prepared for that. I'm expecting a report from the engineer in reference to the permit from ADOT for us to be able to build the sidewalks on the west side of Grand Avenue from Villas Market and Everett coming south. Hopefully, I hope you guys are on top of that. Should be getting the permit soon. And once we get that, then we'll start working on sidewalks this week. Because that paving on Frank Reed, our intentions were to do it with a contractor, was it? Correct. Yeah.
What's the time frame?
If they start on the sidewalks, that would take maybe a couple of months because they have to start all the way from Serduli and go all the way on the west side, all the way to the corner where the insurance company's at.
Right.
And then they can start.
So do you think it'll be completed by January, February?
I don't know about the paving part, but I know the sidewalks and all that will be repaired. Yeah, and there's some issues with water too there, I believe.
So
yeah, Alejandro,
we'll get a time frame together for you and the cost analysis and the whole thing, and we'll do a presentation from the mayor and council with our public works director and our city engineer, and we'll give you a good presentation.
Get you an idea, because that's a much bigger project, you know, but it's good that our crews do the sidewalks, because actually the sidewalk will form the side of the street. It'll be easier for a paving company to come and just pave. Everything's going really, really good, I think, and I'm really happy with the city employees, especially the public works, and not saying anything bad about the fire and police, and they're all doing a good job. But when it comes to infrastructure and paving streets, and I know that you probably have gotten calls from people about the weeds, but the weeds, this is a time of year that really kills us. We only have maybe 3 guys working on that, and recently they were inside the cemetery trying to get that cleaned up too. Ahí el Día de los Muertos, you know how
Cemetery's
people
looking good.
Yeah, the Día de los Muertos, everybody, you know, are concerned about the cemetery, so they're working on that too. So, Public Works is doing a great job, and I want to thank them. Thank them for that. So, that's all I got. Future agenda items? No.
No.
Yes.
Before. I also want to thank the people that help the Nogales Booster Band, the Little League, and the Boys and Girls Club that helped out putting the event for the Mexican Fiesta.
Oh yeah, don't forget. I was invited to give one of the awards at the film festival on the 15th, the day before the summit in Tucson. And
the one in Texas?
No, the one in Tucson. It's the first annual expo.
No, the summit. The
summit here at the casino.
October 15th.
October.
The transportation.
Yeah, transportation summit. Okay, so I'm going to be giving the award to the film company that was created by the person that filmed La Batalla de Nogales. All right? So he was an actor and a director. He lived in Prescott. From Prescott, he moved to Tucson. And from Tucson, he came to Nogales and he filmed that. And then later on, he created a film company that did a lot of westerns throughout the state of Arizona. So I was asked by the director and the person in charge if I could present that award to the granddaughter of the gentleman that was there. So there's Steven Spielberg is going to be receiving an award, on the same day. And the Barbara Eden from My Dream of Genie.
Oh.
Yeah, she's going to be receiving an award there too.
Where's that
So, at TCC.
Cool.
So that's on the
Very.
15th, and so I'm hoping that you all, especially the ones that are going to be there for the 15th, 16th, and 17th, maybe you could attend.
Is that an open invitation?
Be part
With
of
a
it.
tie?
Well, I don't. It's
To a 10-year thing?
yeah. Well,
Oh,
actually,
do we need a ticket?
I'll get you. I'll get everything.
Okay,
from you,
yeah,
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Do some more, yeah.
Yeah.
Be great.
I had told you guys, I won't be here. I have a produce convention up in Anaheim on 17th through the 19th.
No problem. You got it. But you know, this is important because this is Nogales history.
Yeah.
That's the reason Mayor Rothschild and myself, we're going to be doing giving the awards and stuff.
That's gonna be great.
We're going to do a little soft shoe on the stage and together, like the silent movies.
You've done that before, I witnessed.
Yeah, Rothschild. Yeah, well, you were there. Remember when I did that?
Yes,
That was
I
a good
witnessed
soft
it,
shoe.
yes.
Okay, so that's it. Now I'm done.
Future agenda?
Future agenda items. Okay, Councilman. Prepárate, John.
I just
Pull out the pen, John.
I would just like to have finale now. What are we going to do with the body cameras? Okay. The last time it was on the agenda, I didn't agree with the agenda item that, of us getting it, but what's going to happen now with the body cameras? All right. And then also, I'd like to have what we're going to do with Bell Road. Because we're taking a backlash on it, but we discuss it out here in the public and tell them what we want to do, so they make sure that when I attended the Port Authority meeting, Mrs. Gale was there, and I told her to make sure that the infrastructure was there in case nothing happens, and something happens in 5 years or 3 years, and they want to put stoplights there. The infrastructure is built to put the stoplights in there.
We'll make an agenda item for that, sir.
Thank you, Keno. And also, I'd like to do talk about, if Mr. Massey can give us a report, what is it that we need to do to make sure that the mayor can appoint and we confirm the members to the EBT board? Okay, it has to do something with their document that Mr. Bachiller talked to me about, and if you could just bring that to us so that we can decide what we want to do that. And then we need to just have that on our last retreat. They always give us a summary, so we know what's going on with the strategic plan, so I like to have it here, so refresh our memories of what we agreed to over there, so we agree on what direction we want to take the city to make sure that we don't forget that.
Councilman, are you just giving me some direction to get that to you, or do you want that as an agenda item?
Yes, and so we can talk about what are we going to do now. And also, you know, I hear again, what are we going to do with the recycling? We're still picking it up all the time. And I know some of my neighbors don't put up the recycling bin anymore, but the trash can, and I notice a lot of cities have stopped it to every other week or something. So we talk about money, and I brought this up, and I don't think that we should be collecting recyclables that we're not recycling, and just for the sake so that if we ever have recycling, that the people will be accustomed that it's being picked up on Friday. There's got to be some cost savings for us in that area. And the other thing, the library, you know, when it comes to the budget and everything, they're here, that they need computers, that they need all of this, and then and they don't get anything. We're already in October, and I've gone past kids, there's no computers, the same ones.
Do you want an agenda item on the library?
No,
Dr.
they can
Brenner?
tell you, and you can tell us on that. And then, Mr. Massey, the Boys and Girls Club contract. And Mr. Kissinger, Stone Garden. I want to find out about Stone Garden before it comes up again, so that we know, especially on the retirement. I want to know who's paying the retirement. If we are, Stone Garden, how much we're getting back on that. And then Mayor, the sewer from Mexico.
Yes, that's gonna be an issue.
And the other thing, Mayor, I'm in favor of having a discussion, and I'd like to see this on us taking over the county parks and recreation. They're going to pay us for that. We're not doing that for free. No different than we're saying in annexation. We're not going over there and taking over county deals. We're getting paid for that because the head count of those people, we're going to get extra money for that from the state and the census and all of that. So if we say we're going to do one, I can't understand why we can't do the other one. Can we just have a discussion on that?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes.
Councilman Henessian wants to add the adjournment on that agenda.
No.
The what?
Adjournment.
The adjournment.
Robert. No, go ahead.
Robert, come in here. You missed my presentation, Councilman Rojas.
Are you kidding me?
You missed it intentionally.
Basically, I'd like to see something done on LED lights. I was very, I was even surprised that Douglas even has them already. LED lights,
City street lights.
the city street lights, and even Parks and Rec, or, Service is doing a big project right now. There's a company, Snyder Electric, that's even doing basically on a cost savings on what they're doing is they did a cost saving analysis on what it costs them already, and they're even pitching in on the difference. If don't make what they say the analysis is, Snyder Company will make it up. So they're putting, basically it's like a $14 million project that Cerro Vista is doing, and all their parts and all that. But I think it's something, in our street lights and in our parks that we need to look into, because in savings it's a big chunk. See what we can do.
No, wait a minute, I got one more. There's no question to call for. Okay, you have anything? No.
I move for adjournment.
Well, no,
Wait a
Mayor.
minute. Second. I got two.
We got a second already.
Okay, first, yeah. We have a second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Wait a minute. I only have two. Yes. Okay, Mr. Massey, the trolley never came up with my policy. Policy on the trolley, I wanted it done this month, but that's all right, we'll take care of it as soon as we can, Mr. Massey. And well, you guys heard the soccer players.
Right.
Okay, you guys heard them. I know the project's already in, first gear. Marcel, we only have the curb up right now, Marcel? That's it? It's preliminary. Yeah, preliminary. Okay.
Gonna agendize soccer.
Yeah, this agenda as a study session with possible action. And Marcel, who's doing that for you? Is if you were to stop it for now, would it hurt anything, Marcel? Could you ask, please, to see if we can do anything? But I want the members of the council. I know that they came. Annabelle came and talked to you, and John and I. But we talked about it, but it was already in the process and it was already done, And I just want to see, and I want to get the feel from the members of the council, if it's okay, Marcel. I know it wasn't meant to be an adult soccer field. We talked about that in the past, but times have changed or something. So let's just sit down and talk about that and get an opportunity on that. All right? That's all I got.
Mr. Mayor, before you adjourn the meeting, I just want to remind everybody that we're scheduling the Nogales housing meeting for October 9th. That'll be next Wednesday. We're looking at 4 p.m. or we can even do it earlier, but right now,
Can we put on your agenda for the 9th.
Yeah.
So we don't hold up his project or
Okay.
what we want
Yeah,
to
we
see, 'cause
we
I
can
don't
get
wanna-
some study
let's,
stuff done too.
okay, wait a minute. If we're gonna do it on the 9th, I have an event on the 9th in the afternoon and the evening event. Let's do it at 3. Can we do it at 3 so we can knock it out?
I can't.
I
don't wanna
I can, I have an appointment in Tucson on the 9th, but I don't remember if they
Yeah,
changed
me
it.
too.
to-
There's something on the 9th.
And our problem was that we committed to HUD that the commissioners would meet
Oh,
on the
that's
second
right.
Wednesday of every
Right.
month. So we're kind of committed to doing it.
We could do it,
So-
we could do it quick, as long as we have.
At what
quorum.
time are you putting?
3 o'clock?
3
Well, we
o'clock.
said 3.
is fine.
3 o'clock.
It's up to you all. You're the
3
commissioner.
o'clock on the 9th.
As long as
The
we have a
Let me
quorum.
find one.
Yeah, as long as we
Yeah.
have a
We'll have
quorum,
something.
that's all we need.
No pueden nomás.
Okay, and then also there's a thought of moving our November meeting to the 13th instead of the 6th because of the AMC conference summit.
Yeah.
So just, I want to give you the heads up, moving the November meeting from the 6th to the 13th.
That's okay with me.
You're going to it, huh?
No, I'm not.
Okay, who's going to? Robert, you're going to it.
I'm going.
You, 4 of us. We're 4 of us going.
You make sure you put in the paper that I'm not going.
Neither do I.
Es el del día 6, ¿no?
You put it there when I go. No, you put it there when I don't.
The question, the question
So
is
it's
And then
why?
there's one other announcement I need to make sure that you're aware of. I will be on vacation from the 11th to the 18th, but I'll be back in the city of Nogales on the 16th. And I will be available on phone during that time, but I won't be in the office during that.
Did you submit your request sheet?
I did, sir, and I got it approved in January.
Okay, you good.
11th through the 18th?
11th to the 18th, but I'll be back in Nogales in the 16th.
Yes.
When are you moving the November meeting?
To the 13th.
13th.
13.
Mr. Kissinger, who's
Sir.
going to be in charge while you're gone?
I will let council know in an official memo who's going to be in charge while I'm gone. I haven't determined that.
I am.
Yeah, the mayor will.
It will not be Mr. Anesian.
The mayor can take care of it, Councilman.
Well, that's okay, as long as I know who it is in case I have a concern, but with
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hanesian, he's a tax and spend liberal.
And,
Forget it.
we wouldn't do that. So, we're ready for an adjournment.
Ya me voy.
Oye, espérate.
No, que se
Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it? Okay. Means adjourned. Look.